Hey, Honesties. Welcome back to another episode of Honesty the Podcast with your host, Zena, aka Top Tier Z, where I keep it raw, I keep it real, and I keep it risky. First of all, thank you if you've been subscribing because I see my numbers going up. Little by little, it's creeping up on the YouTube, and I'm like, all right, y'all are feeling the content. So if you're new here, welcome. And if you've been here, I hope you stay here. Okay, today's episode is all about me. Yes. I have no guests, y'all. This is a solo episode. However, I am still going to keep my same format of Would You Rathers. My producer's going to kick off my Fast Five for me so y'all can get to know me a little bit. All right, so let's go with my Would You Rather.
I hope you're ready.
I'm a little nervous, but I got this.
Okay, where do we start here? Would you rather makeup or natural?
Um, This is kind of hard. I would rather natural. Honestly, I don't like doing my makeup. However, I do like the look of the perfect skin that the makeup gives me, but that also makes me break out. So, natural. But I like to get glam once in a while.
I think that's a good choice. I think most men like natural.
Okay.
Do you like to dress up or dress down?
I like to dress up because I feel like even when I'm dressing down, I'm still dressing up. If you get what I'm saying. Like, I be dressing my sneakers up, I be wearing like sweats, and I just feel like everything I do looks a little elevated. I'm a little extra.
So which one?
Dressing up,
Okay.
for sure.
Ah, this is where we spice it. Do you
What you
rather
about to
go
ask me?
commando or do you rather wear panties?
Listen, if you know me, I'm commando right now. So you gotta let the coochie breathe. Yeah, definitely no panties. Unless if I'm like wearing jeans or like something super short or tight, but like I just really don't like clothes, and maybe that's, being born in the Caribbean. I don't know, but commando.
Okay. So you hear that? Commando it is.
Listen, don't be getting no thoughts, okay?
So, do you rather a guy who's like fly, handsome, or rather
Or
a guy who's like real smart and not too cute?
I'm shallow as hell, so I like me a fly, handsome brother. I'm saying though, like
So, if he's not too smart,
I can teach him smarts. I'm just saying though, like I put my shit on all the time, right? So it's like when I'm outside, like I'm trying to be with someone who matches my fly, matches my energy. I'm not trying to be with someone. I've been there before where I had to dress people. And as much as I like it sometimes, like I don't want you to feel like my child. So yeah, I'm gonna need you to be fly and handsome. And if you can hold a conversation, you smart enough.
if you say so. Okay, now the final question: would you rather do a podcast with co-host or would you rather do it solo?
Ooh, this is a hard one. This is kind of all right. Seeing that I've done both now, I would rather do solo. And I think that's just because, like, I am used to controlling things in my life and, like, not having to check in with someone else or get their point of view. So it's nice to, like, make my own decisions, be on my own time. That's why I vacation by myself sometimes. Yeah, definitely solo, for sure. My ring
Solo it
broke.
is.
Solo it is. All right, y'all. So that sums up my Fast Five. And funny thing is, I don't know who has been here before and who hasn't, right? So I just want to give y'all some backstory because with that last question, I used to have two co-hosts on Honestly Though podcast, but this is my first time being solo. And the reason why I feel like I like partying by myself there are advantages and there's disadvantages, right? So I'm going to give y'all the advantages. As I said, I don't have to consult with anyone. I can do things on my own time, schedule my guests, have whatever conversations I want to have. But at the same time, on the flip end, it's hard as hell because you do everything. Like, thank God I have a producer who helps me. But when it comes to editing, that's me. When it comes to what to post, that's me. Making reels, that's me. Like, paying for my studio time, that's all me. So, uh, uh. it has its ups and its downs. Um, and I felt like when I had co-hosts, like, you have to consider everyone else's feelings. You have to consider the conversations they want to have. And sometimes I didn't like doing that, to be quite honest. Like, I just want to talk about what I want to talk about. Or I'm just not interested in what they want to talk about, right? And so with that came like a lot of conflict, I would say, you know, disagreements, arguments. And I feel like being solo just brings me so much peace, as much as there's stress of the workload. But having that peace of mind to be like, I can do this and there's no one to argue with. You know what I'm saying? There's no one to consult with, like, if I don't want to. So, yeah. So, if you've been watching the show before, I know this is a new YouTube channel, but if you just heard the name before or you've seen clips before and you're like, yo, where are the other people? It's like, I let them go. So they weren't happy, but ultimately I had a vision and I just don't feel like that vision was being met creatively and just like what I see for the show in the future. And so it was a hard decision. I'll be honest with you. I feel like it was a decision I held on to for like a good year, right? Where it's like, damn, what to do? Keep building like Destiny's Child or like go solo like Beyonce. And for so long, I felt like I was with like the Destiny's Child, like, let's keep building as a group to like foster friendships. Cause I'm like, damn, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I don't want anyone to feel like I didn't appreciate, you know, them being a part of the show or what they put into the show. Because at the end of the day, like, we all had our roles, you know, we all contributed, some more than others, but everyone had a part. And when you take something away from people that they value or that they enjoy doing, that's not always going to be an easy departure. You feel me? And so I had to deal with that. I had to deal with being called evil, being called sneaky, being told I'm boring, being told I can't do it by myself. And I'm like, I'm going to prove you wrong, because at the end of the day, this was always my vision. I brought you along. So, with that being said, ultimately the bigger thing was, okay, you either foster friendships. However, on the other hand, I felt like if people were really your friends, they would understand and they would support you. You feel me? And clarity, I was mistaken. So there comes a lot of, I would say, things that I didn't think about when I decided to do this with a group. And honestly, though, because y'all, if you know me, y'all know this is how I talk, and y'all know honestly though is really like, that's my saying. Honestly though, I'm happy it happened when it happened, rather than for me to have invested so much time with people, you know, and doing this as a group. And then when we start like being monetized and, you know, gaining income from this, then it goes to shit. You get what I'm saying? So I do feel like I felt like I thought we were friends, and I guess they felt the same thing too. I'm laughing because it's so ironic, right? Because for me, if the roles were reversed and my friends was like, yo, this is not going in the direction I thought it would be going, yada yada yada, like, I would detach with grace. You know, I would still be friends with them. I would find understanding despite my feelings of disappointment or hurt or whatever, you know, you feel when that happens. I think the way people handle these things lets you know, like, were y'all even friends in the first place? You know what I'm saying? And so it was a rude awakening for me, honestly speaking. Because I was like, we can have a civil departure. We can talk about things. Everyone can move on. Everyone can still, be friends, support each other. But that wasn't the case. And I don't think that's something a lot of people think about when they do like businesses or like partnerships with friends. Um, I think sometimes you're so excited just to be working with people or just to be, doing things that you love with your friends, that when it is a business, sometimes it's hard for people to, one, respect authority and realize like everyone has a role to play. And so, in order for this to succeed, right? And so, putting your feelings aside as well, right? Like, you have to know how to separate the business from the personal, right? You have to know there are boundaries both in the friendship and in the business. And those are a lot of things that I didn't know, because this was my first time like ever collabing with friends. Like I said, I'm used to doing a lot of things in my life by myself. And what I know now, I'm grateful, but I wish I knew then. You feel me? And I just want to go over like some of the reasons why businesses with friends may fail, right? And I'm going to speak from my experience because that's really all I can do, if I'm being honest with y'all. And if you know me, y'all know that's all I am, is honest. So I feel like, on top of the things I just said, there's jealousy. People feeling like they're entitled to everything or entitled to the same things you're entitled to just because they're a part of something. I feel like when something is your baby, no one really understands it and respect it like you do. As much as they may say they do, when push comes to shove and when it's really time to like show up, be consistent, be disciplined, be respectful, all of that, be professional, like all of that is very telling. You feel me? Like, when something's your baby and you want to see it grow, because that's what you do with babies, right? Like, you grow it, you nurture it, you want it to expand, you want to take care of it, you hold it near and dear to you. It's hard to when other people aren't doing that, but they say to them they think they are, and it's like, well, your standard of nurturing the baby is not the same as mine, if I'm being honest with you. So maybe go find your own baby so that you can understand like just how much more work it takes to maintain that baby. You feel me? Let me know if y'all feel me for real, because I need to know if I'm the only one who has experienced those things. Another part, like I said, is creative differences. Like everyone has their vision. Everyone, when you start something initially, I feel like with other people, in order for it to thrive, you kind of have to be on the same page, right? You have to have the same vision, the same end goal, and be able to see the bigger picture, right? And you may start off like that, all on the same accord. However, in time, whether it's clout, whether it's popularity, whether it's just people getting comfortable and wanting to do their own thing in whatever way, like, that creative direction may change. And I think it's important, if your creative visions aren't aligning, to be realistic with yourself and each other. And it may not be an easy conversation. However, it's a necessary conversation, because otherwise we're just wasting time. And like, I don't know about y'all, but I don't really have time to waste. Like, time is money, they say, right? And I'm not where I want to be wealth wise for me to be wasting time. So, yeah, that's another reason why businesses or partnerships with friends may fail. A big part of it I experienced was lack of accountability. Like, y'all, I personally cannot be around someone who preaches accountability yet takes none for their actions or the lack thereof. Like, there were so many moments where you're being gaslighted, people are projecting their things onto you, all to avoid taking accountability. Whether it's the episode's not out when it's supposed to be, whether it's they're late to filming, like there's so many factors that play a role in podcasting. But in any relationship I'm in, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's a business partnership, like accountability is key. And I hold myself very accountable even when I don't like to at times. So I think it's important for other people to do the same. And for me personally, it's like I can't really F with you like that if you don't take accountability. Like, if you're gonna gaslight me just to avoid accountability, that's like, it's not only a red flag, but it's like, damn, are you allergic to accountability? Like, we were arguing right now just because you didn't say you were tired. That's why the episode's not out. It's like I don't want to sit here and act like I don't have flaws, and part of accountability is being able to admit your faults and your flaws and your wrongs. Like I am a very nonchalant person. I'm also a very direct person, and I feel like a lot of times it may come off as insensitive, which it could be. It may come off as argumentative because I'm so direct, right? And again, when I'm passionate about something, when something's my baby, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna voice my opinion. Like, yeah, you're gonna know how I feel, you know? And a lot of times my delivery wasn't the best, like there's that saying, it's not what you say, but how you say it. And I think this experience has taught me how to be more diplomatic in how I move, right? Like, instead of being so passionate and letting the emotion of passion take over, it's like, be diplomatic, watch your tone, watch how you speak to people, know what to say in a way that it's effective, where you're going to get results and where people are receptive to what you're saying, right? And so I do take that accountability um for a lot of the conflict that happened, just because I just moved how I moved, like I said, it was like, okay, I'm not a my way or the highway type of person. That's not my personality at all. However, I think because I'm so direct, sometimes it came off like, she a little bitch. And in those moments, I was like, yeah, I am, because things are not being done the way I think they should be done, or to the standard that I would like them to be done. So I do take accountability for that, you know, and I think open communication at the end of the day is very, very important in any partnership or business, whether it's with friends, it doesn't matter who it's with. I feel like when you're not able to verbalize how you feel or what you want in other people and vice versa, that builds resentment. And I think for a long time, I was resentful because I'm holding things in. I'm not happy, right? Like, pardon was, it's a hobby for me, right? It's something I truly enjoy doing. Like, I went to school for journalism, and it's like, oh, wow, this is something that's always been of interest to me long before I actually put it into action. And so my producer gives straight, seeing if my titties are out. They are secure, so I hope they stay like that. I think I just need to not move. But when it became more like a task, it was like, yeah, no, because that's not what I envisioned. Like, why is this so difficult? Sometimes you think like you're working with your friends, like this should be fun. We should be happy. Like, we should come in and want to do this, be excited about doing this. However, like, if you've been here before when it was a trio, you probably saw the tension on camera. You probably saw like the combativeness, right? And to some people, that's what makes good podcast. To some people just want that virality. Some people want those moments, But for me personally, it's like I want us to be so in sync, and like there's a synergy that it's literally like, yo, like you can tell they're friends. You can tell they love each other. And I really feel like a big part of that was missing on the show. And the funny thing is, it's like when the cameras will cut, it's, oh my God, I love you. You're my sister. You're my best friend, is what I'm being told. But when we're on camera, it's like, you're coming at me, I can't even have a thought leave my mouth without you jumping on my throat or combating, or you can agree, but you still want to find a way to disagree. And in those moments, it makes you question, like, what is the intention? Like, are we friends, or are you just doing this for clickbait? You know? Or are you doing this because this is what makes good, quote unquote, TV? And I feel like if that's the case, then have a conversation prior to. Maybe I'm bugging, but that's really how I feel. I feel like if we're like, yo, we need to make this spicy, we are we doing reality TV? Is this scripted? And I know I mentioned jealousy earlier, right? In the sense of when you're like not calling the shots per se, but you're like the anchor to the ship, right? Because I'm a very disciplined person. I'm a very professional person. Like, I've worked in a lot of professional industries, honestly, since I was like 15 years old. Like, I was interning on Wall Street at Citigroup at the tender age of 15, So there's a lot of like professionalism that's been instilled in me from a young age. And I feel like that's just how I move with my life. As much as I'm a free spirit when it comes to things I'm passionate about, when it comes to my money, when it comes to anything I'm investing in, I'm very professional. And I feel like people couldn't handle that, right? And maybe, when you lack something in yourself sometimes and you see other people portraying that so easily and doing that, like, you kind of, there's that green eye, right? And I think the proper way to handle that is to, especially in friendships that we're working together, like, hey, this is your strong point. Let's pour into me on that if I feel like I'm lacking that, and vice versa, right? Like, hey, you're really good at this. Teach me that, right? Let's like learn and grow from and with each other rather than like being like, oh, you think you're in charge because you do this and you got this. And it's like, what? No. Like, I like the fact that we have different things that we're good at, and you don't have to feel a type of way, whether it's jealousy, whether it's resentment. I don't know what it is, but it's like you don't have to feel that way or feel like someone's trying to control you or tell you what to do and how to do things. You feel me? Um, and I do feel like I experienced a lot of that on this podcast as a trio. Um, Also, I think as much as people like to paint me as like, well, this is what I was told. You're not friendly. You're short. You're this. You're that. Like, I'm also a very likable person, and people do draw to my energy and my aura. And so that's another reason why people can be jealous of you. Like, oh damn, like this person came on the show and like they're linking up now. Like, she made a new friend off of this guest. Or I mean, I was doing a lot of screening, before the guest came on the show. That's one thing I've always been, and that's how I've been serious about this shit, because I'm not just gonna let anyone come up here and speak at the end of the day, and then it's a waste of money, waste of time. I want to know, like, you have substance, you can articulate yourself and all these things. So I would screen these guests and, have conversations with them prior to them coming on the show. And a lot of times, like, you build that connection because I feel like from my experience and from what I've been told, like, I'm easy to speak to, I'm very understanding. Excuse me. I'm very impatient, but I'm very understanding. And so just from screening a lot of these guests, like, they felt comfortable with me and we maintained relationships. And maybe, sometimes people probably saw more value in me than they saw in themselves. I'm just saying, like, especially my consistency, my discipline. When you like that in yourself, like I said, you're kind of like, damn, I want that. But how do you get that? You work towards it, right? You ask your friend, you ask your tribe, you ask your people to pour that into you instead of being envious of it. And so with that, like, jealousy, I felt like there are reasons made up not to like me, right? Or to make me seem flawed, to make me seem like I'm the most terrible person on this planet. Like, w- honestly, though, full transparency, how I feel is like if you feel like someone is so terrible, why would you want to do something with them? Why would you want to continue working with them? Right? Like when I told one of my co hosts that I was going solo with the show, like I said, she told me I would never be successful. I couldn't do it by myself. I'm boring. I'm evil. I'm a terrible person. But yet you called me your best friend. And I never reciprocated that word to you. It was like, you're my sister. We're always going to be family. You're my best friend. But you have all these feelings about me that the moment I tell you I want to do something for myself because creatively we don't align, your true colors come out. Like how you really feel about me comes out. And to me, you have to have some type of sickness. Like personally, I couldn't be around anyone that I felt that way about. I wouldn't want to do anything with you, especially if we're not making money off of it. Maybe the money might motivate me to like tolerate you for some time. However, I'm so real. It's like if I feel like you're not for me and we don't align, you're just not for me. So being told these things because you're unhappy with the decision I've made, you're sick. Why am I laughing? I'm laughing because it really mind fucks me. Like it's so difficult for me to fathom how you consider someone to be all these things, yet you have all these underlying feelings about them, you know? And with that, I just feel like you were riding a coattail. Like you knew you couldn't do it on your own. Here's the projection and the gaslighting, right? You know you couldn't do it on your own. So it's like I'm gonna ride this coattail until I get to a certain point and I get certain recognition, and then I'm gonna do my own thing, you know. But yeah, people are opportunists, especially when they know they don't have the discipline to maintain something themselves. And I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. People are going to ride your coattails and be opportunists and use you up until they feel like they don't need you anymore, especially when they cannot do it by themselves. And that is something I had to come to terms and come to reality with at the end of the day. And I thank God for understanding and discernment, and realizing like when people show you who they are, believe them. And there's two what is it? Two sides to every coin, right? Because I can be saying this and who knows, she probably was like, damn, you knew you did not want to do the show with us and you wait till the up until the last minute to tell us. Like at the end of the day, your reality is your perception. So if that's probably how she felt like, damn, Zena really gonna do us like that and just let us go? Like, you could have just said that instead of saying all these things about me. And I think a big part of this for me is like, I made that decision to go solo, what, 7 months ago? And this is my first time ever speaking on this topic or even having this conversation and addressing this. And I think I was trying for so long, not trying because it's just my character, honestly speaking, like just to move forward, keep doing my thing, stay focused. And for a long time, I kept this to myself, didn't speak about what happened. Like, if you're new to this platform of honesty, though, like, you probably never knew I had a co-host. Like, I probably mentioned it a couple times here and there, but like, I never went into depth of what happened and why I decided to make that transition of doing the show by myself. And it was like a month ago or so, and my ex co-host had 30 minutes on someone else's show and decided to spend 15 seconds talking about me. And it was just like mind fucked and mind boggling to me because it's like you finally are back on the platform and you use that time to talk about me. And I've had my own platform for the last 7 months, for the last 6 months, and never have I brought you up or what happens with the show or anything like that. And I think like it just was like, yo, get it out there, say what happened so people have understanding, and keep doing what you do, you know? And that's why we're having this conversation today. That's why I'm doing a solo episode, because at the end of the day, I don't want people to tell my story for me, right? This is my truth. This is something I experienced. And it's like, if someone's going to tell it, it's going to be me on my platform, because I still have my platform. So yeah, that's why you guys are getting this today. And also, I just want people to have understanding, because like I said, there are people who have watched the show when there were three people, and they're probably like, yo, what happened? It was for the first 2 months, all I kept hearing was, what happened to your other co-host? Or honestly though, there were times I spoke to people in screening, and they were like, I always knew it was your show. Like, I never even thought about your other two co-hosts, because it's just something about you that just solidified, like, this is your shit. And I think that is a reflection of the dedication and the discipline, and just how serious I try to nurture my baby, you know? And to me, that doesn't take away from any of the work that these other people have done. However, if it's that clear to people that who was really serious about this, then I think it speaks for itself. You get what I'm saying? And so with that, it's like I learned a lot of lessons from working with friends. And are there things I would have done differently? Absolutely, right? I think a big part of what I would have done differently was definitely maintaining the fact that this is yours. And I think what I try to do is I didn't want to be a micromanager. I wanted everyone to feel comfortable. And sometimes when you make people too comfortable, they get shit blurred. Like, it got to a point where everyone felt like it was theirs, right? And ultimately, that was the goal for me personally. Like, I'm not gonna hold y'all. Like, I was like, yo, if this is successful, like, we all gonna eat, we all gonna ride with this. However, when it got to a point that it wasn't being taken seriously, people are missing episodes with excuses that are just, huh? I'm like, what? You don't really care about this, right? People are late. Lack of respect, not only for your co-host's time, but for your engineer's time, we didn't have a producer, but like the studio time, right? Like, that lets me know, like, if this was a real job, you would have been fired a long, long time ago. And so where I failed is I didn't have contracts in place, right? I think I started off, like I said, to like, everyone can have a say, everyone can, this is everyone's. And I didn't want to be a dictator, because that's not me. If you're doing something that you're passionate about, I want you to be comfortable. And I expect that if you are passionate about it, that you don't have to be micromanaged. To me, you micromanage people who don't want to do their job. And it got to that point where I became a micromanager. And I'm like, damn, why can't you just do what is expected of you and what you said you would do? I'm big on doing what you say you would do, right? Don't ask for responsibility knowing you cannot handle that responsibility. Like, be realistic with yourself. And I think I begun to hold people accountable too late. Like, I started noticing these patterns and these things, and to avoid conflict and to avoid arguing, I would like just sweep it under the rug and let it slide. I would make excuses for them. And that's why I messed up. Because instead of just having a direct conversation and calling them out, here I was like tiptoeing around it. And for someone who's very direct, like, that's extremely difficult for me. I'm not even gonna lie, because it's like, damn, you're really just gonna not say anything about this for how direct you are and how much you're like itching to say something you're not going to because you don't want to argue today. But honestly though, like, who wants to argue when you're trying to like protect your peace and have fun with your hobby, and pour into something that you enjoy doing? Not me. If that's you, then kudos to you. I'm just saying, you're good, but that's just not me, you know. Um what else would I have done differently? Ooh, child, there's so many things. There's so many. I would have done everything by myself. I would have hired everyone to do things. Cause like I said, the lines got blurred. It's like, well, this is mine too. This is everyone's. Whereas if you treat people as employees from the jump, you can't really get things misconstrued, right? And with that, it's like, what do you do with an employee? You pay them, right? That's what you do. Okay, cool. I should have done that, right? I should have made it very clear, like, you are talent, you know? You're you don't have ownership in this. You're just part of the talent. Yeah, so a big part of what I would have done differently, I would have hired people. I would have hired people to do the editing, would have worked with a producer from the jump. Because what happens is when you have people editing and then have to come on and be a part of the conversations, right? A lot of what wasn't happening is that they didn't have time to pour into the actual conversation and content, right? When people are like focused on doing other work, right? It's hard for them to really perform, right? So like, and I feel like that's where the creative vision went, like, because I have this expectation of performance in conversation, in research, in like, let's talk about the outline. Let's talk about the purpose of this episode, why this guest is on, why we're having these conversations. And when people are focused on outside work, whether it's editing, whether it's what else did they do? I don't know. But so overall, like, I mean, I'd say accountability and like realize there are a lot of things I could have done differently. And a big part of that is hiring people from the jump, or finding people to work with, right? There were times I hired editors and I realized when you take editing away from people who are on the show, there's more time to focus on the conversations, more time to focus on the outlines, and therefore there's a better outcome with performance on the show, right? Another part was working with a producer, right? Not giving everyone creative freedom to talk about whatever they want to talk about just because you want them to feel included, right? Like, at the end of the day, there needs to be structure. And when you have outside forces coming in to do the mundane task or to do the tasks that are time worthy, then it's easier for people to focus on the main task, which is getting on the show, creating content that is worthy, creating content of substance, creating content that flows, content that is original. And I didn't do that. And so if I were to do this all over again with co-hosts, that would be my first step. Have a producer, have the editor, have someone who's like keeping all the, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the scheduling, someone who's in charge of all those things. Have that so that people can really come on and be the talent, really, perform on screen and we can all be happy with the outcome, rather than this. Yeah. So overall, this was a growing and learning moment for me. I realized there are things I didn't know about business or working with friends in a business. And this has also taught me a lot about myself, the way people view me, the way I view people, not holding them accountable, and all these things. And I think if I were to do this all over again, initially, I probably would have started solo and save my friendships and save myself from disappointment. Because at the end of the day, it's something, if you're doing something by yourself and it doesn't come out how you want it to, the only person accountable is you. Yeah. And with that being said, I am going to wrap up this episode. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. And subscribe if you haven't yet. If you have any questions, if you have been through something similar, Hit me up. Let's talk about it. Do we need a support group for failed business friendships? Failed partnerships? Anyway, I shall see you all on next week's episode. Like, comment, share, subscribe. See y'all next week. Bye.